All right, so now when we get to learn language, we want to know how the data are stored and what are the basic operations, because this is how it builds up, right? When you learn what are the data, basic operations, you put these basic operations together to create functions and classes and more complex structures. So we start with the basic types and operations, and then we will see some differences in the syntax of Python that might be confusing if you're starting. We will highlight the differences between Python and what we already know from other languages. And we start creating basic statements. So let's see, how do we hold data types or data in Python? Now, these are the main types. These are not the only types. These are the main ones. Okay, now here's something that you may notice is very different. We used to have to represent the no value by what? In Java and in JavaScript, null. There's null. Almost in every language there is a value, like the no value is null. In JavaScript there was also, in addition to the null, there was the undefined, right? Now in Python it's none. Null, the in null doesn't exist. It's none, N-O-N-E, and it has its own type. Okay, so the type is non-type. All right, the value itself is none. Okay, there are numeric types. So there's int and float. There's also complex, but it's not something we need to focus on in this course. But these are the main types. So obviously int for the decimal, for int for the discrete numbers, and float for the fractional numbers or numbers with fractions. And then there's the boolean, and the type itself is called bool. And then the string. Now there is a special consideration in the string in Python. Okay, it's still a sequence of characters. Okay, but Python treats sequences with special way. Okay, so there is a group of types that are called sequence types, and you can think of the string as a special sequence type. Okay, it's not exactly as the list and the tuple and the range, but it has some extra treatment as a sequence. Okay, we will get to that later in the course, but just consider it as a type of its own. Okay, and the name of the type is str and also. Okay, and then there is a dictionary that looks very similar to the object in JavaScript, and a lot of people confuse it. It looks very similar, and it works in a similar manner, mostly, but not exactly, not identical. All right, and then there is the set types. So today we're gonna focus on the basic one, okay? The numeric and the Boolean and set, and then we will keep adding to them as we go. All right, so obviously we have discrete or fractional. So these are the values that can be held by these types. All right, and then the Boolean is just true or false. These are the two values, and it's case sensitive. So true with a capital T and false with a capital F. Okay. And then there's the string. The str is the name of the character, name of the type, and it values under this type would be any sequence of characters surrounded by either single quote or double quote, which we are familiar with, right? But then there is a three-quoted string. So I don't know if you can see that. These are three single quotes, okay? Three single quotes or three double quotes. So this is the three-quoted is a little bit similar to the backtext string in JavaScript. Okay, so it allows for line breaks and stuff like that. Now you can see examples. All right, now there's a built-in function called type. All right, that we can give it a value and it returns the data type of that value. So let me just open the terminal here. I'm just gonna stop the server and open the IPython so that we can use it for testing. Okay, now if I say type of 5, this is int. Type of any number with fraction, this is float. Okay, now what about the none? Type of none is non-type. All right, type of true Boolean. If I forget that it's case sensitive and type with a small t, it will think that it should be a variable that is not defined. Okay, so now when we say a string, now see, if I have a single quoted string, ABC, XYZ, okay, it's a string, which we are familiar with. Double quote is the same. Now, what happened if I try to put a line break here? It doesn't understand it. I tried to put a line break. It's waiting for me to finish it, so I'm gonna finish it here. It doesn't understand the line break within the double quotes or the single quotes. The single quotes is gonna act exactly the same. So single quote, ABC. Try to add another line. Close it here. It doesn't understand it. So if I want to have a multi-line string, I can always add a /n, all this escape character work, but if I wanted to, I want the escape character to be added automatically, I can just use the 3 coded thing. So either 3 single quotes or 3 double quotes. All right. So usually they use the 3 double quotes for comments in top of the file to like a form of documentation that can be extracted automatically. Okay. But it's one of the ways that we can create the string literals. All right. Type is a built-in function. I already said that. All right. Now let's look at the operations. Obviously, when we have numeric values, obviously the first type of operations we think of is the arithmetic operation, right? Can you spot something that you're not familiar with? Most of them we are already familiar with, right? Plus, minus. Can you spot something new? Now, the exponentiation does exist in JavaScript. This is like the same power, but this is not the floor division. So this just kind of truncate the fraction. So let's try. So let's say I want to divide 1 by 2. Okay, so that's half. So what if I divide with double slashes like this? It's 0. So it truncates the fraction. And what could be the type of that? Int. Okay, so the normal output from the division would be a float, but when we floor it, we truncate the fraction and it returns int. Okay. Other than that, plus minus are the same, and operator precedence are exactly the same that you know, with the round parentheses for grouping. Okay. Now for Boolean, well, the comparison operators always return a Boolean, right? Now there are special types of comparisons here that we wouldn't see in Java or JavaScript, or you would see it in SQL if you learn SQL. Do you learn SQL or not yet? Okay, so you would see that is and is not in some in language like SQL, but you didn't see it in Java, right? So, but that works with objects. We're gonna talk about it later. Okay. But of course the or and the and, now the syntax, it's the same operation that we already know. Okay, the truth table, right? But we are used to have it the or with the bars and the and with the ampersand. Now we just type them. Okay, the actual word or and the actual word and the negation is not the exclamation mark, it's the actual word and not. Okay, and in that it resembles SQL as well. Now here's a thing, something that is similar to what you might be familiar with. I mean, everything is considered true except for 0 or false or none. So anything that is equivalent to 0 according to the type is considered false. The false itself obviously is a false, and the none is considered a false. Anything else is true. Okay, so when I say also the 0, I would say if we have sequence that have a length equal to 0, that's equivalent to 0. So empty sequences or empty strings are considered false as well. Okay, the 0, the actual 0, the fractional 0, anything that is equivalent or leads to a 0 is false. Anything else is true. All right. So the or and the and, it doesn't have to be like the operation, operand of these operations doesn't have to be strict true or false. It can be other value. Okay. Now here's something new as well. We already, when we talk about strings, we already know about the concatenation, right? We can concatenate two strings with a plus sign, right? But we haven't seen, or at least you didn't work with Python, you didn't see the multiplication, the star that is usually multiplication in arithmetic operations. In Python, it repeats the string. Okay, now let's see. So let's say I say hello. Plus world. So this is the string plus a string. So obviously that's what concatenation. So the result is just putting them together, right? Now what if I said multiply 2 times? So the same operator precedence concept works here as well. So the multiply or the star has precedence over the plus. So it take it that you want to multiply or to repeat the string that has world twice and then concatenate it to hello. That's what happened. Okay, now if I want to avoid the precedence, the operator precedence, I can group these so that the concatenation happen first. All right, and then the repetition happen after. All right, so let's say we want to say half multiplied by 5 times. There you go. Okay.